Hello everyone, it's Robin here from Toadstool Tarot. I'm excited to be with you today. It's very hot. If you hear a little whirring in the background, that's a fan. I turned off the other two fans and the air conditioning, but it is very hot in New York. It's the middle of summer and it's like 100 degrees out. So we'll see how quickly we can get through this, even though it's not something that should be hurried. I received in the mail today, well, not really the mail, it was an Amazon delivery, and I didn't even know Amazon delivered on Sundays. But I was thrilled this afternoon to receive this Oracle deck. Kahlil Gibran's The Prophet Oracle. Now, I remember 1970, just out of high school, I was working at a Walden bookstore in a mall in Pennsylvania, and I remember his book, The Prophet, being very popular at the time and prominently displayed on one of our sale tables, along with a number of other books by him. And it was so popular that I think I bought a copy, or at least I had a look at it at the time, and even though I was drawn to it, I somehow didn't quite relate to it at the time. But it's apparently, he's like the third most read poet in history after Shakespeare and Lao Tzu, according to notes in the book that accompanies the Oracle. There's a beautiful little book here with all the interpretations for the cards, and as a bonus, the second half of the book, pages 65 to 136 are a reproduction of the Prophet. So you get two in one. You get instructions for interpreting the cards, and also you get to read his book, The Prophet. It's really wonderful. It comes in this beautiful thumb-indexed lift-off box. It's very sturdy and very nice. And feeling the cards, I am now understanding what people describe as rose petal feel. They're substantial cards and have such a glorious, soft feel to them. They really feel wonderful. Oh, I forgot to mention that when the Prophet was so popular in the 70s, I guess mostly among hippies and esoteric types, it was also mentioned on a David Bowie album, The Man Who Sold the World, in, I think, the opening track, The Width of a Circle. So that was a little reference for us teens, to introduce us to this Middle Eastern poet. Something very exotic about that. Another one at the time that was often mentioned was Gurdjieff, and I think there was a movie out around that time or a little later called Meetings with Remarkable Men, which is interesting to check out, and also to check out his books and musical collaborations that Gurdjieff did with Thomas de Hartmann of folk melodies in the Balkans and around the world on his travels. It's piano pieces that are very contemplative and terrific to have going on in the background while you consult cards or meditate. I recommend that. But maybe I'll review those another time. So anyway, the reason I bought this, Simon, I think, did a video about it, or mentioned it in a group of decks that he had, and I fell in love with the imagery, the artwork. And so while I probably will learn to love the text, it's the images that appealed to me. And he has often referred to what he calls your soul deck. I don't think this is a soul deck for me, but the depictions are what I consider artistic representations of the human soul. So this is a really good deck to seclude yourself, remove yourself from everyone else, find a really quiet space, burn some incense, have a cup of tea, be alone with these cards, and just really contemplate them or relax with them. Let your soul connect with the images in these cards. So we might as well do a flip through now. These are the backs of the cards. I often feel like, I'm sort of out of time and identify with art salons from the 1920s and also the spiritual studiers from the late 1800s. And I feel like, it would have been really wonderful to have sat in on some of those discussions and lectures. And anyway, let's get on with the art. They're all watercolors. They're really soft and sort of almost washes. Very ethereal. Lots of nudity, mostly nudity in this deck, but it's really quite lovely. It's mostly of a very thoughtful and sensitive and spiritual nature. I'm actually not much of an oracle deck person. I just recently started collecting oracle decks and don't know how many more I will collect because I tend not to read them like tarot decks. I tend to just pull a single card to contemplate or meditate upon. The cards are in both orientations, portrait and landscape mode, which might bother some of you, but since I'm talking about using them the way that I said, just one card at a time, they don't bother me. And I'm really here for the artwork on these. Sometimes on other decks too, tarot decks, it's the artwork. Of course, then I need to be able to connect with it on a system level, but not so much with oracle decks. These just feel so loving and gentle. The color palette is just really soft and warm. There are a few dark cards, but mostly they're just skin tones or pale, milky, or cloudy colors. Some sepia tones. Each card has a quote on it, which I'm not reading, and a key phrase. You can, find those out for yourself and look them up in the book. That's not my focus here. I think you'll decide You could do your own research on Gibran, Kahlil Gibran. And oh, by the way, if you have Kindle, you can get a copy of The Prophet for free to read on your Kindle book if that's something you want to research beforehand, or you can Google or Wikipedia him to find out more about his history. I don't think I was even aware before this that he was an artist. I just thought he was a poet-philosopher. But these images are just exquisite. They're like soulful apparitions. And I usually like vivid colored art, but there's something about this that's just, like I said, not a soul deck, but soul cards, soul images, almost ghostly. It's the same as the card back. That one says, the vision of one lends not its wings to another. And the code word is teaching. I'm thinking of Dustin here because I know he likes watercolors, and these are just amazing. I don't know if he has this deck. Dustin of Metaphysical Man, you should check out his videos. Or Metaphysic Man, I'm not sure which. You have to check that, double check that. This is like spirits ascending into heaven. And this is his self-portrait that's on the cover of The Prophet. How deep is that face? Open your heart unto the body of life. The key word there is death. I don't know if that makes it a death card, but the image is almost like a death mask. There are 42 cards in the deck, and this is the last one. Come and be one of us, the farewell. Light beings ascending these stairs into another place, another world, another sphere of existence. Which reminds me of another thing I want to recommend. There's this book by George MacDonald called The Golden Key. He wrote in the late 1800s. He wrote fairy tales. This one's illustrated by Maurice Sendak, by Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. I think it came out in the late 60s or early 70s. And there are only a handful of illustrations in it. They're quite beautiful, but the book itself is amazing. And that image of the souls ascending the stairs, the white light beings, reminds me so much of the ending of this book. This book is funny. I discovered this by accident. I worked for a third of a century in the largest used bookstore in New York, and they bragged at the time about having 8 miles of books on their shelves. And one day during doing some errands in the store and finding myself sort of browsing when I shouldn't have been, in one of the sections, I found misfiled and tucked in between other books in the stack this little book called The Golden Key. I thought, what is this? I thought, this is really funny. Here I am sort of on this spiritual quest, to find things that give life meaning. And here is the key. So I grabbed the book, and mostly because of the title and the Sendak images. I thought, well, let me see what this is about. And I read it, and it was amazing. And I swear by this, it's maybe, one of my top favorite books, and a very good companion to this these images by Gibran. So anyway, I recommend The Golden Key by George MacDonald. You can also Google history about him. And Kahlil Gibran's The Prophet and Oracle Card set, which is a Blue Angel publishing item. Thanks for watching, and click the like bell if you like this. Subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to click the bell for updates. Bye-bye till next time.